TikTok Shop is all the craze for the Pokemon sales. So today we're going to be taking a look at the pros and cons of TikTok Shop from a person selling Pokemon on it right after this. Alright guys, I'm Andy with Northwoods TCG, and today we're going to break down TikTok Shop. Been using it for about 6 months now, and I found some pros and some cons, and today we're going to be talking about them here on the channel to have you guys help you with your decision. If you're looking at TikTok Shop, I can give you some of the pros, I can give you some of the cons, and I can sometimes help you mitigate some of the cons that I've learned firsthand from using TikTok Shop on my own. So before we do that, if you are new to the channel, be sure you guys hit that subscribe, hit that notify, and last but not least, hit that like button. Greatly appreciated and helps out the channel. Hopefully I can earn your subscription today. But just as a reminder before we get into the video to hit that, just in case you forget. So today we're going to be talking about TikTok Shop. We're going to break it down a little bit. We're going to talk about the pros that I found while using it, some of the advantages compared to other sites that I sell on, and then also we're going to talk about some of the cons, some of the things that I've ran into that I don't necessarily enjoy about the TikTok platform and could have some things done better. I think that there's definitely some improvements, but it is a young platform. There's still time for these changes to occur, and I think they do a really good job asking questions. We rate the site, we rate our stuff, and that gives us a good point. So hopefully some things could change, but today we're going to talk about them and then help you guys maybe mitigate some of the cons. There are ways to work around some of them, and I'll go into that too when we get to them. So without further ado, let's cut into a pro. Alright guys, I'm going to start this off with a pro because overall I do enjoy the TikTok platform so far for sales. Overall, they have a very good platform, a very good user interface for the fees that they charge. So when you first start out, or when I first started out, I got 90 days. So depending on when you see this video, it might change. But the first 90 days are really free. They don't charge you any user fees for selling on their platform. So you could sell $100,000 worth of product in the first 90 days and get a 0% user fee, which is fantastic, especially when you're trying to grow and use a platform. It gives you the opportunity to use it, test it, not have to pay high fees. You get to learn to use the information on it and use that site to be able to take advantage of all the different sections of it and not have to worry about paying user fees. As you know, TCG Player, eBay, and also Mercari all have fees that are over 10%. Even Facebook Marketplace is about 7 to 8%. I believe it's like 7.5, 7.8%. But they are, once again, pretty high fees. So if you can get into a site where you could have some sales with a 0% fee to start off for the first 90 days, where do you go wrong just to try it out and see if it works? Which is a good advantage to TikTok. Now, what happens after 90 days? You're probably thinking it's going to jump up to 10%, 13%, like every other site, and you'd be wrong. It only goes to 3%. So right now, TikTok is currently running only 3% for shop users. That's what's coming out of mine now that I've crossed the 90-day mark, is 3%, and that's what we were agreed upon when we opened the shop. That's in the agreement, and that's a fantastic price. For a full user interface with as many people looking at TikTok as we have, millions of people continually viewing, looking for products and entering those shops, and once they are into Pokemon stuff, everybody's stuff in Pokemon continues to show up. You have the opportunities to have thousands, millions of eyes looking at your products, which is a great advantage even compared to TCG Player, because it's not just people looking for cards, or eBay where people are typing in for Pokemon. These are viewers that are just watching TikTok that may have had interest or liked a Pokemon video somewhere along the way that now have the access to be able to see your product. 3%, fantastic price for having the actual sales platform. We're going to move in to a con. Alright guys, so I'm going to put up one con right now, and this is something that I don't necessarily like about TikTok, but it is what it is, and you just have to work around it, and you have to plan accordingly. The one con that we have is that you have to be planning on shipping. Shipping is almost required in 3 days. You can get 24 hours extra if you don't accept the order, but if you don't accept the order, the individual can cancel, and you don't have anything to stop them from canceling. So if you do it, you have to have it shipped in 3 business days. 3 operating days. Now, that could be kind of a hindrance sometimes, especially when selling sealed product, that you have to get it together. If you're missing shipping supplies, if you don't have labels or whatever, you have to come up and start moving on the fly to come up with corrective actions. Now, there is a way to get away from the 3-day shipping, but you have to get rid of the TikTok paying for your shipping. You will have to pay for your own shipping outside of the sales, which sometimes could be a little bit of advantage, but overall it's just nice having TikTok print you a shipping label, you put it in the box, and then you ship it out the door. You don't have to do much when you set up the settings inside of the product for the actual shipping. You can just put in your box sizes for each one of these products, the weight, and they actually print you a USPS sticker. You put it on the box and you ship it out the door. That's it, right? Pretty easy when it comes down to the user-friendly for shipping, but it also gives you the part where you only have 3 days to ship these particular products. So once again, you're kind of at the mercy if you use that service to having to pay in or ship within the 3 days. You can go outside of it, you can get longer, but it's up to the customer. I still think you only have 7 days. If you don't, then the customer has the availability to cancel. So just things to keep in mind, that if you do take too long in shipping, the user does get the availability to cancel after you accept it. And you only have 3 days if you're using the TikTok USPS services. Keep that in mind as you're growing your channel. And if you're going on a trip or leaving town, just something to keep in mind that you have to have that done. So if you're gone for a week, you leave your shop open or your store open, you're going to have potentially an issue with the shipping, and they do ding you and they will derate your store if you miss too many shipment dates. So just keep that in mind. Also, if you don't hit the shipment dates, you will get some bad remark. TikTok will actually derate your store for doing that too many times. Moving on to a pro. All right, guys, here we are on a pro for TikTok. And another big pro that I have is the actual user interface itself. Overall, the user interface is really good. Now, overall, you can really list some things very nicely. You can actually make your adjustments for stock and pricing extremely quickly on the products page. Unlike TCG Player, where you either have to kick out the spreadsheet or you have to open up every individual product in order to manage the pricing, or the pricing can get very daunting, you can do this right on the fly on the products tab, as you can see behind me or in front of me here. You can see, you can just go in, click stock, change price, hit save. That's it. You can do this all the way through your products. I can do inventory on products extremely quickly and being sure I'm bringing things up to date. And I can do this on my mobile phone, or I can do this on my laptop, on my tablet. All of them have this quick feature, which is very nice for my overall moving through product and being sure that I'm adding and removing products that I'm using. Once again, guys, this is a fantastic user interface for the 3% fee that you're going to be using for this. Overall, I really do enjoy the overall setup on this, and it works extremely well. Moving on to another con. All right, guys, here's going to be another con that I have with TikTok platform that you can mitigate it, but it's just annoying more than anything. When you are creating products on the TikTok interface, you have to be very specific. The reason this is a con is because if you're trying to use like Binder POS to connect into the TikTok shop, it is very difficult. The categories need to line up. You need to be very specific on each one of the products. You can't like make too many mix bags and things like that, because they want to know a specific product. So if you have Brilliant Stars, they want you to pick Brilliant Stars, a Pokemon, the number of packs that are, it's very, very specific. You can do it in Binder POS. You have to be sure all the categories are correct, or you're going to get violations when they transfer into TikTok. And by doing so, you're going to get banned from TikTok. As Pokemon Wonder discussed here on his Choose Your Path, it's something that's very, very interesting, but very, very strict, is that the categorical layouts have to be done correctly in order for them to be able to list your product and not ding you for violations for trying to put products out there. Especially, they allow so many of them with no issues, but if you have multiple issues, so if you continually mislabel and mislist things, then they start giving you violations, which then you only get 12 violations, and then you're banned from TikTok. So if you try and do a mass upload from Binder POS in the TikTok, that's where you're going to run into problems, is because you're listing thousands of products potentially into TikTok, and each one of those that's wrong is a violation. Pretty soon you stack up 15 just in the upload, and you're banned. And that's exactly what happens to people when they come into that point. That's why I personally, to get around that con, is manually list everything into that. But the problem is it's not all in my tracking inventory. So I lose the trackability because I have to manually track that separate. So that's something to also keep in mind, that if you are using a system like Binder POS, or even selling on TCG Player, and you're not using Binder POS in between, you have to be sure your inventories are moving between all of them. So if you sell a booster box in TCG Player, you have to make sure you take it away from TikTok so that someone doesn't come TikTok and buy 6 when you only had 5. It's a situation that you could run into without having something like Binder POS running all the sites. But once again, that's kind of a risk that you could run, or you could just minimize or put less stock in each one of them so you don't run into that issue. You can continually try and change that. I have just been manually entering into TikTok because I had watched videos on uploading binder POS into TikTok, and it was really an issue that I didn't want to deal with. And so I just went with the manual version personally. But you could try and get all the categories set up correctly in binder POS, and it should upload. Just to keep in mind, you could end up try it with a couple, like 2, 3 products. Don't try and upload your whole database in there at once because it will get you blocked. Also, the one thing to keep in mind too is that when you're listing graded cards, you can list graded cards for sale on TikTok. Once again, you're going to have to be very specific. There are a lot of categories you need to fill out for graded cards. And that's why I have not listed graded cards yet on TikTok Shop, is because of the fact that you have to be very specific. And the reason being is that they are very protective of the customer. So we're going to kick in to a pro. All right, guys, so here we go. We're going to be talking about a pro of TikTok, and that's going to be its protection of its customers and its sellers. So once again, they do a very good job overall of being very protective of the shop itself. TikTok, everybody's concerned about TikTok because it's a foreign company and all this other stuff that goes on in the background, how the government wants to ban it, all these things keep coming up. But in general, I've had a very good experience with TikTok and TikTok Shop. Overall, they have done extremely well at keeping your shop with customer confidence that the shop is very safe, the shop is very good. You have no worry about people stealing your card numbers or your IDs, getting into your PayPal. They've been very protective of that. On top of it, they're very protective of the buyer to be sure that they're getting the product in a timely fashion and making sure that the sellers are following through with their commitments. If you're going to be selling on TikTok, you're going to have to make sure you're specific on your commitments and what you're actually sending, or you could run into some situations with returns. I've been very specific. I've learned to be very specific. And that's a big situation that's really got to be taken care of when you're hooking up. But it's also a very good pro when it comes down to it. Even though you got to be a con to be very specific on those categories, it's also a pro in a way because it makes that consumer confidence that they're going to get what you're supposed to get. If you send something and it doesn't line up with what you put into those categories, they're going to refund it and take it from your account. And that's going to be another situation that you're going to have to deal with if you're mislabeling things on TikTok. So be very specific, keep up with it. It's a good pro, in my opinion, that number one, if I'm buying on TikTok, I feel very secure that what I'm getting is what they say it is. And once again, if someone's buying from me on TikTok, that they're getting exactly what I'm selling. They're not getting something in between. Moving on to another con. All right, here we are, guys. We're on another con. And this is one thing that I personally don't like too much. And this is going to come down to when you're opening product on stream. So if you're using it as a streaming platform, they have a fantastic live that connects right into your shop. That's the predecessor to eBay Live that everybody's starting to use, like Nick at Old School. But you can sit here and actually purchase product from the shop. You can load up a live, so you can create a store or a shop on your live that's different than your bio shop. So I can just pull packs and items I want to open and put them into my live while keeping the sealed product and my sealed sales all on the actual bio. So I can actually have fun opening, ripping packs for the consumers on the lives without necessarily being concerned about pulling in all that sealed product and having consumers that could be buying packs that I'm trying to open, buying sealed product and throwing that into the live. So you can really clean up the sales for when you're in that live, or if you're trying to sell sealed product. You want to go live and sell sealed product or a specific sealed product. Great, you can do that too. You can build that shop in your live to be what you're building. So let's say you want to sit here and talk about Paradox Rift. You want to sell a rip and ship of Paradox Rift while selling ETBs and selling booster boxes or boxes, V-boxes, six-pack bundles, whatever it is. You can build that live specifically around that product. We're doing it now with Paldean Fates. We pull in Paldean Fates, we put in the ETBs, we put in all the products that we got for the first round here, and we do the rip and ships, but everything is specific to Paldean Fates. And that's a fantastic thing that I do really, really enjoy about TikTok, is that I can create a live around what I want to sell that specific day. It's a huge pro. It's a really great way to promote sales. It's a really great way to give people, even if you're doing an opening of booster box, you could sell booster boxes and ETBs of that specific product while you open it, so people can see what you're pulling, what's inside the set. They can get a feel for it and then buy it while they're sitting there watching you. So it's a really good way to intertwine that platform with the live that they've already built. And that's exactly what TikTok was really good at to begin with. Adding that shop feature gives you the availability to get in front of your customers and really push that to them. We're going to move in and we're going to end it with another con. All right, guys, since we're talking about the last two here about rip and ships, the other one I'm going to complain about on rip and ships for the con is that when you go and open a product, you must accept that order. Now, that is kind of a downside sometimes, because if you open a product on the air, the customer, if you do not accept it, so if you don't go to the point where you create a shipping label of that during the live, or if you don't have the USPS, so if you have it hooked up so that TikTok pays for the USPS shipping and just prints a label, then you have to sit there and make the label when they purchase. If you don't, and you open a product and someone doesn't get a hit, this has happened to me one time. I figured it out after one time. What they were doing is that they can actually cancel the order. They didn't get what they wanted in a hit. They just go in and cancel the order right away. They cancel the order and you can't do anything about it because you didn't accept the order. If you don't accept that order in some way, shape, or form, so if you're doing the shipping yourself, you hit the accept button. If you're doing the shipping through TikTok, you have to create the shipping label. The one downside to that, and specifically, which has happened to me more than once on this particular event, is multiple orders. If someone wants to order multiple times and you've already accepted the first order, you can't combine the shipping. So you're shipping multiple packages and you have to ship multiple packages because you got to have multiple tracking numbers going through USPS. If the tracking number doesn't leave you and doesn't get accepted, then they cancel the order. Another downside when it comes down to that shipping side. And that's going to be one thing that I think they're going to learn. We're probably going to find new ways to do this as we move on. And it's still fairly new. And that's something that's going to continue to evolve. So that's one thing. During the rip and ships, be sure you accept the orders. Don't wait until you've ripped and shipped or wait until you're done with the live. Do it during the live. I keep my laptop open next to me and I just go ahead and accept the orders as they come in. I just make the labels, print labels. If I got to send a couple bubble mailers, it don't make a difference. Just do it. The only disadvantage is that they got to pay multiple shipping potentially on low orders. If you're $25 or more, TikTok offers free shipping anyway. So as long as my numbers are right, there's no repercussions for it. Otherwise, going it back into shipping also. One other specific thing about shipping that you're going to learn is that when you create a product, you can create what they call a product tree. So you can go like myself. You can build battle styles. Okay, I've got battle styles ETBs right now for sale, and I sell them in the single strike, the rapid strike, or the 2-pack. When you go and build that tree, you can only build shipping for one size. So I had to break that apart because the problem that I was incurring was nobody wanted to buy the single boxes because they were paying the double box price. You build multiple items, and even though the weights are different or box sizes are different, you can only put one shipping style on those particular boxes. So right now with free shipping, it doesn't matter. I can leave it alone, but I did break it up because the problem is if someone was buying one and having to pay the shipping for an 8x8 box for ETBs rather than the 8x8x4 and paying £2, they were paying for £4 for a single ETB. That's expensive comparatively for buying two. That's another situation I think they might evolve. It's something that wouldn't take much to evolve. It's something that I know I've even put in when they ask what my experience was, that the shipping needs to be shipping per item. That way it would change varying depending on that. And the second thing is too, is that the inventory, catch-22 also, doesn't draw from the total inventory. Each item has to have its own inventory. So if you're selling two, you have to list it with, 3 of those available, and then you have 1 or 2 of the singles, because if you put them together, it's not like drawing. So you bought 2, it's drawing from one inventory and completely drawing it down like some of the softwares I've used. Even Squares, you can set it up so that the tree draws from an overall inventory. Someone buys 2, it draws from the inventory. If they buy 1, it draws 1 from the inventory, and you can set it up that way. That's not how this works. That's not how the system's set up right now on TikTok. But once again, there are going to be these side effects. Now we're going to move into conclusion. So here we are, guys. We're at the conclusion for my experience total on TikTok. Overall, there are pros and cons. I think every one of these systems that you use, we could go through all the pros and cons of TCG Player, of eBay, of Mercari, of Facebook. They all have pros and cons. Number one thing that I always look at when it comes down to is the user interface. How many people are seeing my product, and am I having good success in selling products on those particular sites? Mercari is hit or miss. Facebook Marketplace can be hit or miss. TCG Player, really consistent for bulk. Sales, sales and sealed, you have to have a very large volume in order to do that, or have a very good pricing when you get those products to be able to be competitive at the fees that are involved. Same with eBay. When you're losing 13 to 15% on sales on those 2 particular sites, it's very difficult to be competitive buying stuff at your local markets or supermarkets Walmart and GameStop or whatever, even if you buy them on sale after the sets are old, trying to be able to cover that 13% fee now in the current Pokemon market could take years. I mean, you could be a year or two before you see that 13% gain from where you buy it just to cover the fees, which doesn't make it worth it. TikTok definitely gives you that advantage with the 3% to be able to maybe wait a little bit, even if you mark up some of these products. There's so many people looking at stuff. I'm going to be 100% honest. I mark up where I make the 20% and I list it, it still sells. I still sell consistently on TikTok, even sealed product at 20%. I've been selling Paradox Rift booster boxes. I just sold out of them and I was selling them for $115. Once again, it's not bad. And there's enough viewing, enough people moving through that's possible. That and TikTok does a fantastic job of giving coupons out, which really drives sales. And there's also a learning center for you to be able to learn how to do the shop better. And if you follow those, you also get promotional codes for promoting your shop. You get promotional codes to put on as vouchers on top of your shop or on your lives. So you can use the lives with vouchers for people to get discounts in your live and take percentages off. So there's also a lot of advantage that TikTok is currently doing to create an atmosphere that really generates sales and really generates buyers to join in and jump on sellers and give sellers the advantage of a low fee rate while on top of it getting some really good growth on their actual TikTok shops. So I'm going to continue to use TikTok this year. I'm still using TCG Player and eBay. I'll still be using all of them for different usage. But overall, I'm moving pretty much all of my sealed product now currently into TikTok Marketplace. And that's where we're going to be doing a lot of sales along with the rip and ships and the fun like that. That's what I enjoy. My son enjoys it. He's been joining me now. So if you do want to see that, we can just check out the lives and just kind of relax and talk. Absolutely welcome to join. Just have a chat. We've been talking about Pokemon, what's going on in the market. They don't care. We talk about everything in the lives, which is a lot of fun. Overall, this is what my experience has been on TikTok Shop. Been very, very happy with it overall. If you're interested in looking at TikTok Shop, feel free to message me. Hit me up on Instagram, join the Discord, hit me in the messages there. Either way, whatever you want to do, email me. I answer the emails too. So if you do want to get a hold of me and ask me questions about TikTok Shop, or if you are stuck on something or concerned about something, please contact me. I'm willing to talk to you and give you some directions that would maybe help you perform better in the actual shop. Other than that, guys, hopefully some good information if you are considering TikTok Shop. Let me know in the comments below. Do you want me to do more videos talking about the pros and cons of TCG Player, of eBay, of Mercari, of Facebook? I've used all of them, so I can really give you the pros and cons of most of them that I've found so far, and you can help you make that decision for which site is maybe the best for you overall for your investment and for your sales in 2024. Otherwise, if you are trying to grow that business, be sure you follow this channel because we're going to continue to talk about different business avenues and how to take your sealed product and be able to turn that into a profitable business in 2024. Other than that, check out the 2 videos at the end, and we'll see you next time here on Northwoods TCG.